So we're just gonna keep milking this video topic, right? Right. But at least I'm doing videos again?
Your turn, Yugi boy.
What is up, guys? This is AlintheaYoh coming here today with more discussions on Konami and how they're failing everything and it's all the worst. But in all seriousness, no one game is perfect. You know, even Locana have had erratas already in certain cards that lots of people are actually quite happy with. But it shows that no one company can get it right first time, can hit the ball out of the park. They're immune to criticism, they're immune to doing things wrong. That's just how the world works, and that's totally fine. I don't think anyone would be disappointed, upset with Konami if they got something wrong and then they said, yeah, okay, fine, we got that wrong. But I think that's one of the hardest things for companies to ever do. It's very rare that a company come out and say they've done something wrong if they haven't had the most ridiculous amount of backlash. They're losing revenue, they're losing face in the community or whatever. It's normally because people are kicking off. There is never a proactive reason to do it, or at least I've never seen them do it. So today I actually want to talk about something that I've been thinking about a lot. It's one that a lot of people have in the forefront of their mind right now. It's one of the biggest talking points, and it will be for quite a while until we get the Forbidden Unlimited list at the end of this month, as I'm recording this on the 2nd of August. In this video I want to talk about 5 areas that I personally think Konami can work on and address to fix the states of the game, to fix the mentality that people have, but also improve their Yu-Gi-Oh aura in the West. So in no particular order, and in no ranking of order of how important, because I personally think these are all extremely important to me. The first one that most people talk about is pricing. So obviously, pricing has always been kind of an issue for Konami. There's never been cash pricing in there, so I kind of just don't really want to talk about cash pricing. I've spoke about it enough. I'm fine with it not happening. You can get monetary value out of products in other ways. So obviously you need to lean on the secondary market a little bit more, but that's totally fine because it gives you the option to keep it or to sell it. When you have a game that you need to spend money on, your own hard-earned money, to then play in a tournament, to then rise up the ranks and win that tournament, let's say, or even just come in the top cup. If the money you've spent on just your deck to play in that tournament and to win it pales in comparison to your winnings, you've got a problem. So the Fiendsmith engines and decks, they're around 500 to £1,000, let's say, to actually build the deck. If you just do all the lowest rarities and all this stuff, it's around that, let's say, because obviously the extra deck is expensive, the Fiendsmith cards are expensive, Snake Eye stuff is expensive. Let's just take that one for example, because that's probably where it'll be. Tenpai is one of those that does kind of have a bit of a unique point, because it's a fairly cheap deck in comparison to Fiendsmith, but let's use Fiendsmith because it's very rare you get a Tenpai topping, as in like that type of like cheap deck going above and beyond the topping. If my deck costs 10 times more or 5 times more than what I'm getting in return, what's the point? Like, what is the actual point in me playing? For the glory? Great. The glory doesn't really do much, to be honest, because while that's all very well and good, it means that, okay, well, if I want to actually try and get some monetary value out of this, if I actually want to make it worth my while, I probably have to do other things. So there is a bit of exposure, obviously, because you'll either be on stream or whatever. I can do a YouTube channel and people can come watch my deck profile and I'll get some pitiful amount of revenue from YouTube to do that if I have got an established YouTube channel already. If I haven't, then it means I have to make that video and then loads of other videos to meet YouTube's criteria to be you see where I'm going with this. It's effort. You've already put all the time, the work and the effort into actually topping the event, to learn your deck, to learn the opponent's deck. You've won a dice roll enough times that you've gone first, and that means you just probably win a little bit, but it at least helps, and you need to understand how to play the deck, because when you go second, that's when the problem is. But if I've spent my own hard-earned time, my own hard-earned money, and I don't get anything in return, that's a problem. How'd you fix it? They actually don't really need to do too much. They just need to offer a lot of things that they do for the side events for the main event. Why is Giant Cards not in the contention for the main event? Like, you just do like an exclusive Giant card for first and second place. Or you're doing exclusive Giant card and then oversized card for second, or something like that. Oversized for like the top 8, Top 4 can be like, or top 2 can be giant, top 8 can be oversized, you know, things like that. We had the Starlight sheets, like uncut sheets. Where did they go? What about quarter century secret rare uncut sheets? Well, these things like are not really that hard to do because they've done them for quite a while. It is really bad when your side events that are arguably easier to win because there's less people and it's shorter tournament have better prizing than your main event. So you fix that. More things like the uncut sheets, you do the giant cards. These are things they're already doing. They just need to change their format a little bit. The accessories is something I think they need to do a lot better with. Their accessories are poor. Like I don't think anyone can you know really disagree with me. They're poor. You have third parties and other companies like Pokemon doing this. Like this is a Charizard deck. I wasn't even intending to show this, and I wasn't really intending to talk about accessories. But here we are. This is something off their just website. You can buy. Like, Konami, where is your version of this? Instead, they've built or said, oh, we're doing a double deck box this year for our World Championship qualifiers. Exclusive accessories, uncut sheets, giant and oversized cards are just some of the smallest things you can do. And please, for love of God, get rid of the Nintendo Switch. It's actually quite embarrassing to be given a Nintendo Switch as a prize because of how old it is and how pointless it is. No one really actually wants to buy it, so you're kind of stuck with it. And if you are selling it, you're selling it probably at half the RRP. So yeah, you need to stop with that. I think pricing is actually one of the easiest things they can fix because they already do a lot of it. They just need to change the format. Second, in my opinion, is card rarities. Now, I did speak in quite big, like long detail, to be honest, about this in a previous video that I uploaded, so I won't touch on it too much, as you can check out that video. But honest opinion is you follow the OCG format of core rarities. In the OCG format, for example, if we take Fiendsmith from their set, Fiendsmith was printed in multiple rarities in the set itself. Didn't need to wait for a rarity collection or anything like that. It was printed in Ultra, Secret, Ultra, Secret, and quarter century rare. Yeah, their Fiendsmith engraver is like £19 on eBay. You know, you take into account that's inflation on the eBay market because obviously it needs to be imported, so on and so forth, so you can get it cheaper in Japan. Yeah, imagine that. Fiendsmith engine for like 50 quid. If you make the cards more accessible because you print them in multiple rarities within its own core set, it means that you hit all of the player bases. It means you hit the people who don't want to spend that much on it. You also hit the rarity collectors who want to have those super shiny cards. Not a problem. You also make it more accessible because of the latter points, and it makes it fairer because it also works for the secondary market, it also works for the retailers, it also works for the backpack vendors. It works for everyone because you now have more products that people want that hits a wider audience and not just the top people who want that Fiendsmith engraver in Secret Rare or in Quarter Century Secret Rare. You now have lower and mid-tier people who actually want the Ultra Rare because it is more accessible. And then it obviously is very healthy in regards to just the amount of interaction people will have with those OTS stores, with the vendors, so on and so forth. Again, quite a simple thing. They already do it in the OCG. Next up is something that is a bit more difficult to solve, and that's card design. I will do a separate video on this one, but quickly touching on it, card design. Lingering effects with no requirement to activate, or no like kind of requirements or activation costs. Dimension Shifter, Spooky Dogwood, Droll and Lockbird, all those things. Droll and Lockbird is slightly different, you have to add a card, but you get my point. Cards that you can just drop with no skill. The only skill you have to do is draw the card, and even then, that's just completely luck-based these days. Any card that shuts off your opponent from playing because you activated it with no interaction is a problem. The Mulcharmies are new ones now. Maxi in the OCG is one of those. You stop printing cards like that, and if you want to print a card like that, you do it within an archetype that requires setup. That's the only way you do it, because your opponent can at least potentially interact. One card trade-off hand traps like Ash Blossom Effect Veiler, in my opinion, they're fine. Leave them, they're fine, because it's a 1-for-1 typically. You can take it into account, you can play around it. Same with Nibiru. Yes, it is a board wipe, but you can play around it. Bake into your plays card effects or monster effects within those 5 summons. That's totally fine. If you overextend and get hit by Nibiru, in my opinion, that's fine, because it's just the way that the thing is. But when someone activates Dimension Shifter on you and you have no response because it's in your draw phase or standby phase or whatever, yeah, that's kind of sad. The whole point of the game is to interact. It's an interactive card game. It's not solitaire. So stop printing cards that make it solitaire. The 4th area is communication. Konami have particularly been awful, with a capital H. You know what I mean? Capital A. Awful. They are terrible at communicating with their player base. Historically, they used to do dated Forbidden Unlimited lists. At one point, very briefly, they did explanations as to why cards were hit in certain ways and why they weren't. And then they went silent on that. They stopped doing that. They then got rid of the dates and said, well, we're not actually going to give you dates. We're just going to mysteriously drop it on you, which is terrible, in my opinion, because you can't plan for anything. And there's been so many instances of where there have been tournaments coming up where a ban list has been dropped, or they don't know if a ban list is going to be dropped. No communication, so they can't plan to it. And then when one is dropped, but they say, oh, well, actually, it's not going to be in effect till then, put it in effect after that tournament becomes utterly pointless. Why does anyone want to watch an old format? It's just really bad communication. And then you look how they run their social media platforms. It looks, I'm really sorry, but it looks like it's run by junior staff, like a junior social media person, because there's just no proper interaction with the community. They schedule posts, they don't really do much more, and it just looks kind of poor. The one area that I think is good in regards to communication is the stream setups, especially on the European side. Like, the communication back and forth on there is nice. I think that is something they should be commended for. The European lot have done a lot over the years to improve, and I do commend them for that. But then that nicely brings me on to my 5th point, and that's marketing. Their marketing, it annoys me. It really annoys me, from someone who has a big interest in marketing in general, the way that marketing is done. I've always liked that area. I think they're poor. Again, I go back to the social media thing and the lack of communication. They do cross over quite a lot, but their marketing is poor from every aspect, to be honest. They occasionally spin up some product videos that look quite cool. That, you know, it's like a 20-30 second, like, short essentially, where they'll do a spin of a card and all this stuff, and that's it. And then they outsource all of their, well, the vast majority of their product announcements to content creators, which is not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong, that is not a bad thing. But marketing isn't only about products. Marketing is about promoting your game, promoting the players inside it, promoting the formats, promoting alternate formats, just everything about your game from here to here. This is the start of Yu-Gi-Oh!, this is the end of Yu-Gi-Oh!, and everything in here is Yu-Gi-Oh! It's about advertising this. One of the biggest things that I don't think they do very well at all, they try, and they occasionally do it, but it's poor, is promoting individuals in the game. What individuals do I think? Well, people that they like. But you can start with your pro players. They used to, on the live streams, they used to do interviews with previous world champions or previous European champions or tops or anything like that. But I watched something that came out the other day from Pokemon, where they did a 2 to 3 minute video and a profile on their previous players, favorite players. So Wolfie Glick, for example, they did a video on him, and the quality is just great. It's really nice to see. I think it shows that there's a history to your game. It shows that there's a development of people who grew up with Pokemon. They grow up with it, they flourish with the game. It's a big part of their life, and it's something that makes other people want to get involved, because they go, well, I've seen his barrier to entry was super low. He was just watching Pokemon when he was getting his haircut, and that's how he fell in love with the game. When you see professional players at the high caliber and you think, how do I break into that? How do I, get to where they are? Because we're all playing this game for some form of glory. There is a lot of us who really want that, I think it's fair to say. When the barrier of entry looks so high, it can be discouraging. So bringing people down to the level of, look, well, this is how I got into it. I'm no more different than you. I just have a couple of years on you. Those types of showcase videos are really important, and I think they can do that a lot more. With the products videos, I think they can do a lot more as well. Again, I spoke about this in a previous video. They can simply either do podcasts, they can invite people, they can get live reactions, they can do it at tournaments. One of the coolest things I think that they can do is at a big event, World Championships, Euros, YCS, Worlds, something like that. Why not show people a card, a brand new card, and say, this is a new card coming out, what do you think of this? Live reactions, that's an entire video. People love seeing people's reactions. Whether someone says, this card's shit, don't like it, why the fuck did you print that? Guess what? You can edit it. You can edit that out. Totally fine. I think it's super important to have those types of interactions and creative marketing directions to keep your game healthy and to keep people interested in it, because that's how you draw people in. Now, I know that someone in Konami headquarters would turn around and say, well, yeah, our numbers have never been so good. Yeah, that's great. Your grumblings have never been so high. There's always formats where people dip in and out. There's always game mechanics where people dip in and out. It's totally fine. The difference is your pro players, your biggest names, are leaving in troves, and that's just how it is. There's a certain irony that I've started doing videos in what people will call some of the worst formats. It's just where we are. I think those 5 areas, if they even address each of them in just the smallest ways, it will really help. People just want to see progression. People want to see, that's a mistake, yeah, we'll look into it. That's a mistake, we'll look into something else. We understand you don't like it, that's fine. And I thought that they were getting it a little bit, but when there's just silence, it's really irritating. I know a company like that can't have daily interactions with the community. I'm not asking for that. There have been so many rumblings for the longest time where they don't address it. It's just really bad. Honestly, I don't think they have the right people in certain areas in the company to be able to make those changes. From a North American side and from a European side, if I want to be cutthroat and honest, there are people working there that I don't think are the best people for the job. Should I say they should be gotten rid of? No, not at all, because they still have a lot of experience. I think they need support and they need help. No one person can fix these issues. No one region can fix these issues. And I know that there's the whole Japan thing, but I think that's starting to get into crisis point. What will happen is that while their numbers are currently high in regards to attendance, I think they're going to have a higher turnover of players, which means there's going to be a lower quality of your entrances to tournaments, which will make live streams quite boring. It's just one of those things. You need to keep the player base happy, and I know you can't keep everyone happy, which is fine. I'm not asking you to keep everyone happy. I'm not asking you to print QCR school servants to keep me happy. I'm just asking you to address some of the most glaring problems in this game, and I think everyone will appreciate that more than they think. I'm kind of talking directly to Konami, who will not be watching this video. Just start addressing some of the points. Start acknowledging some of those things. You'll be surprised at the reaction you'll get. Just look at your social media post on the Forbidden Unlimited list saying, look, we get it, but there's not going to be one until the end of August. Bear with us. Look at the positive reaction from every angle that you had from a simple social media post. That is it. That should have been the shit. It's that simple. That's all they want, right? Yes, that is all we want. Simple communication. Understanding that you're not in some ivory tower. You can talk to us, that you can address some of the problems, and you can say, yeah, we're looking into it. That is the first step to fixing what is going on now. Because if you keep just doing what you're doing, I don't know what's going to be left. I'm enjoying the game, not the format, not the card effects. I'm enjoying getting back into thinking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Again. When all the videos that keep all the discussion is being eclipsed by the game's crap. I hate this format. I hate this lingering card effect. Kind of destroys my creativity. I might dip out again. So I want to know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comment section below. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe, and I should catch you guys later.